they fix one thing and something else breaks. So I don't know what to tell y'all, but I do plan on trying my best. Hopefully Meetup hangs in there and sending you the link to the recording of this session via Meetup. So look for that link in your. They fix one thing and something else breaks. So I don't know what to tell you. Look for the what am I trying to say? Oh, I'm all discombobulated. Look for the messages on Meetup to find the link to the recording. If you are one of my membership meetings, the link will be posted on Ko-fi.com. You'll find the link there. All right. Woo. A little bit of a rough start there, but we are ready to go. Let me get my screen correctly set up so that it's showing the right thing here. Just a moment. You know, only 15 more clicks and we'll be there. I got it, y'all. We're getting there. And I just realized something as I brought this screen up. Okay, well, I will figure it out, y'all. Just hang with me, have patience. All right. So welcome to the Nights Who Are You at Your Core, a journey of self-discovery. Just a little bit of background. This is the deep dive for those of you who are in the membership. All month long, we have been talking about self-discovery, and it's because the theme for February is always love and self-love. And I thought, but why not put a little twist on it? How about if we get to know ourselves on a deeper level so that we can foster a deeper self-love? You can't love what you don't know, basically. So this is the culmination or the deep dive on really digging into using different modalities to figure out who we are at our core. And not just to figure it out, but to use that to help us manifest the life we want, to help us love ourselves more, to help us be more self-aware, all of the things that are going to benefit us on our spiritual path. So, like I said, you can't truly love yourself if you don't truly know yourself. Your self-love increases with self-awareness. And today we're going to use various modalities to increase your self-awareness and to get to truly know the magical being that you are. So here are the modalities that we'll be going over today. And I do want to mention that this event is listed at 2 hours. We might take up the whole 2 hours, we might not. It's just dependent on the interactive portions and how long those portions take us. We do have a smaller group, so we might not go for the whole 2 hours. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But here are the modalities that we are going to be using to learn more about ourselves. Astrology, we're going to be talking about your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign and what those say about you. Akashic Records, we're going to talk a little bit about what Akashic Records are and how you can access those for yourself. And then Tarot, using Tarot, I have a book that I have shared many times and that has helped me on my own personal journey. And it gives a whole entire Tarot profile, different ways of how to figure out different cards for yourself. Today, we're going to focus on determining your destiny card, and we'll talk about what that destiny card is. And I'll also give you the title of the book. So if you want to figure out your entire Tarot profile, you can do that as well. And then we're also going to talk about authenticity. Authentically You, how to be more authentic and why it's so important to be authentic. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to talk about is astrology, your sun, moon, and rising stars. Rising signs. Now, this is what I think about astrology. So I'm going to share my beliefs because that explains more why we even use astrology as a tool. I believe that from non-physical, at some point we said, you know, I think I want to try that human experience thing one more again. Well, let's just give it a shot. We'll see. But this time I want to do this, this, and this, and I want to experience this, this, and this, and here's how I want to experience it. And so we have decided before we even reincarnate what type of experiences we want to have and how we want to go about our life path on our next trip, on our next incarnation, on our next lifetime. So from non-physical, we also say, you know what? I know the human experience. has this built-in amnesia thing. I know that I'm going to be born as an infant, new into the world, and I will not remember anything. Well, that's not true because the young ones do remember, but then at some point they forget. So I know that in my human incarnation, I'm going to forget a lot of things, but I also know I can give myself Easter eggs. I can give myself clues. I can give myself blueprints. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is through astrology. So we give ourselves support in so many different ways. Astrology is just one of the many ways that we give ourselves um, insight into what we intended to experience in this lifetime. We use the stars to guide our life path. And in order to do that from non physical, I firmly believe that we decide where and when we are born. We decide a whole bunch of things. We also decide our family group, our ancestry, but all of that is not relating to astrology. But as it relates to astrology, we decide where and when we are born so that if we choose to, we can look at our star chart or our natal chart and find that support that we talked about and find those little Easter eggs and find those little insights into what we said we wanted to experience when we were non-physical. So I fucking love astrology. I feel like it is my gift to myself so that I can figure out myself better. So today we're just going to focus on the sun, the moon, and the rising sign. We're going to talk about what they are, and we're going to talk about how they impact your awareness of self. So the sun sign represents your core personality. It's your sense of self, it's your basic preferences and the ways in which you move through the world. The sign that the sun was in at the time of your birth, again, because you chose that from non-physical. From non-physical, I said, these are the things I want to experience. How can I best experience those things? I think I can best experience these things by being born under the sign of Sagittarius, with all of the Sagittarius archetypes and with all of the Sagittarius influences on my personality and traits. So I'm going to choose Sagittarius this time around, and that's going to give me a little bit of insight into what I decided I wanted to experience and how I said I wanted to experience it. So it was the sun is the sign that your sun was in at the time of your birth, and it indicates the strengths and the gifts that will best help you navigate what you wanted to experience in this lifetime. It also shows which personality traits and sense of self best suit you for this life experience. Now, please understand this is astrology one-on-one. This is basic me talking to you as if you have no clue what astrology is. There is so much more about just your sun sign that you can do. So much more meaning and encapsulation. This is just the basic overview. So sun sign, core personality. Your moon sign represents your emotions, your feelings, your desires, all of that stuff that goes on below the surface, some things that you might not even be aware of initially, which is why the moon sign is really, really important. If you're in that space in your life where everything seems to make sense except these things, like, I don't know why I keep self-sabotaging myself, or I don't know why this thing keeps coming up again and again. I don't know why I always feel this way in this certain situation. The moon sign is going to point to those things that lie beneath the surface, those things that take a little bit of digging in order for us to figure out about ourselves. It is perhaps the clearest indicator as to the workings of your inner world. And the sign that the moon was in at the time of your birth indicates how you will best navigate your emotional world and your hidden desires. Your rising sign. Your rising sign, I love this new definition. It's one that I just found as I was working on this presentation. Represents your perception of reality. I love that so much because I am so much about creating your own reality. So your rising sign represents your perception of reality. Now, oftentimes you will see it mentioned that your rising sign shows how you present yourself to the world, shows you the mask that others and how others view you and see you. Yes, that is valid, but I feel like this definition of your perception of reality is bigger, more expansive, and more all-encompassing than just saying this is how other people see you. So the rising sign, this is from Eliza Kelly, an astrologer. Rising sign represents the microcosm of your entire life experience, including the themes, cycles, and patterns that will show up in your life over and over again. It functions as the instruction manual for your reality, thus informing not just the way others see you, which is one of the facets, but also the way you perceive others. The instruction manual for your reality, I really like that part. And oftentimes you will hear, if you have done any kind of work of looking up your chart or your natal chart, you will hear people say, when you go to read your horoscopes or when you go to look up what's going on for your sign, look at not just your sun sign, but also your rising sign, because your rising sign is oftentimes a clearer indication of what might be going on for you personally. And I always do that. Actually, when I read the horoscopes now, I look up my sun, my moon, and my rising sign. All right, so let's talk about all of these together. These are what is called the big three. If you ever hear anybody say, what's your big three in astrology, that's what they're talking about: your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, your rising sign, for those of you that aren't sure, how do we figure out what our rising sign is? At the exact time of your birth, this is the sign that is on the eastern horizon. So on the eastern horizon, for me, it was Virgo. And that's why it's considered Virgo rising. I might be doing that the wrong way. Anyway, because I'm reversed. So these are the big three. They give you a starting point. Please understand, starting point for looking at your natal chart. Even though this is a starting point, if you only look at your sun, moon, and rising signs and you really dig into what that means for you, where they're placed, what their zodiac placement is, what their house placement is, you will get a very, very good indication of what your natal chart means for you personally. However, I want to explain that this is only the beginning. You can do just these three signs and you can be good to go. Like that will give you a wealth of information. However, looking at your whole chart will give you deeper insights as to who you are at your core. So it's important, and it's also important as you look at your sun and your moon and your rising sign, to look at how they interact with each other. That is the best way to read them. What does my sun sign say about me? But how does that interact with my emotions? And how does that interact with my perception of reality? Looking at how they all interact together is going to give you a better picture than just looking at your sun sign and then jumping out of that and then just looking at your moon sign. You have to look at how they all interact and how they all talk to each other to get a clear picture of your soul path or your blueprint that you left for yourself in the stars. So let's go a little bit further. I know this is hard to read, and that is okay. I'm going to drop the link so that you can pull this up for yourself. And I'm also going to use one of you as a sample. If you know your sun, moon, and rising, please raise your hand and I'll give you an example of how to use this chart to get deeper insight, just overview, basic, deeper insight on your life path. Now, I do recommend that now that we've gone over this and now that you know the significance of these signs, that you will do a little bit deeper research. I don't know if I have to stop my screen share. I don't think I do. Nicole, I see your hand up. I'm going to use you as an example. I'm going to go find the links first and drop those links for you all. One moment. Do y'all still see the screen? I don't know if y'all still see the screen when I move away from
Yes.
it. You do? Okay, perfect. Okay, this is a free big three calculator. If you don't know your sun, moon, and star, you need of course, your date, your birth date, and you also need where you were born, and you need the exact time of your birth. Now, there's different ways to figure it out if your birth certificate doesn't give the exact time of your birth, but we're not going to get into that today. So there's the calculator. Actually, I think Kitty's here, and I think Kitty told me once how to figure that out. Kitty, if you want to put that in chat, I would love that. If you don't know the exact time of your birth, you can always use a pendulum too, but for today, we're just going to go with what we know. And I have one more link for you. That the second link that I'm putting in chat is the link for this chart. Okay, Nicole, what is your, I'm gonna have to try to remember it because I don't have my notebook on my desk. What is your sun, moon, and rising sign?
My sun sign is Virgo. My moon sign is Gemini. And my rising sign is Virgo rising.
So you have Virgo, Gemini, Virgo, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So looking at this chart, this is archetypal energies. And again, there are so many different charts like this. Find one that resonates with you. Looking at this chart, I would say you are, and this is me using a bit of my intuition as well, you would be a healer, sun sign, at your core, a healer who expresses themselves through storytelling. And storytelling just means you like to verbally express yourself. Your emotions and things come up through storytelling. And then you perceive reality. I'm going to go with craftsman, because you perceive where you approach your reality as a craftsman, as how can I construct this in a way that best suits me? So that's just a general overview of looking at this archetypal list, picking out the different key phrases that might relate to you. Nicole, how did I do? Does any of that resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to leave this chart up for just a minute. I did drop the link so that you can find it on your own. You might, if there's something that you cannot see just because it's so small, just ask me and I'll be more than happy to read it off for you. But just go through this chart. First, pick up how you see, who you are at your core. I'll use myself as the second one. At my core, I know for sure. Oh, that's a hard one. Explorer and teacher. I am both of those very strongly. An exploring teacher. I'm gonna say that. see how you can twist it to make it right. At my core, I am an exploring teacher. I express myself. The hermit. My moon sign is a Capricorn, and I don't express my emotions. I try not to, and that makes sense because the hermit is how I would emotionally express myself. Is hermiting, meaning only those who are allowed into close proximity with me get to know what's really going on with me emotionally. And then my perception of reality, the healer, absolutely. I'm Virgo rising, and my perception of reality is how can I heal? How can I heal the world? How can I heal myself? So that's just another example of how you would go through those. Very basic. Understand it's very basic. I might offer, like, let me stay on topic. I was gonna say I might offer big three readings so that we can dig in a little bit more deeper than just keywords and key phrases, but let me stay on topic. I just get so many ideas when I do these presentations. So
it feels to me like the whole thing is encompassed. Like when I look at all of those words about me, they're so.
oh, you're cutting out there, Nicole.
Oh.
Yeah, but I did hear you say that it seems encompassing. Yes, this is a great way to look at an overview of your sun, moon, and rising sign, just to give you a compact view of, oh, this is who I am. This is what I decided I wanted to experience. Is the ascendant the same as your rising sign? Yes, absolutely. Ascendant and rising sign are the same. It just depends on what chart you're looking at and which astrologer you're talking to as far as what they call them. Oh, Jacqueline already answered that. Awesome. Okay, we've got somebody over in the comments who picked theirs. I am the lover, artist, peacemaker, mystic, dreamer, and teacher. I love that. Shapeshifter, though, I'd love to learn. So see, isn't that interesting how you see something in your archetype and you're like, oh, I didn't know I chose that personality trait, archetype trait, whatever. And I can encompass that? Cool. Because when I look at Capricorn, Hermit, I'm like, absolutely, totally resonate that with that. When I look at father, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that because I do have a lot of divine masculine. But prime minister and executive, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to fill into those. So it does it's very, very informative because it also lets you know maybe some of those things about yourself that you have not developed yet that you might want to develop. So that's what I have to say about astrology. Any other questions about the big three before we move on to our next modality? Oh, awesome. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the Akashic Records. I really love the Akashic Records. It's your soul story, past, present, and future. And I'm going to tell you what I view the Akashic Records to be. The Akashic Records is a library of knowledge about your soul. I use the word library because I always visualize and see it as a library with volumes upon volumes upon volumes of books about anything that you could possibly ask a question about your soul's journey. And I'm talking about your soul's journey from soul inception to infinity. This is everything. This is all incarnations. This is all planets you've lived on. This is all the time you've spent in non-physical, bless you. This is all of everything about your soul. And I see this as this huge library with just volumes upon volumes of books. Everything your soul has ever or will ever experience. And it is not bound by time because it exists in non-physical. So it does hold past, present, and future. The Akashic Records is such a valuable tool for yourself, especially if you are trying to figure out, why am I this way? Look into your Akashic Records. You can probably find a past life or something in non-physical or some kind of insight as to how did my soul develop. What you're really asking when you say, why am I this way, is what steps did my soul take through its development that led me to this point where I am currently? Also, where am I going? What's my path? What's my purpose? What's my destiny? All those questions we ask that are mostly, for the most part, constrained to this lifetime. We want to know, am I doing this lifetime right? But can be expanded to a bigger, how does my soul want to evolve and expand? You can go into the Akashic Records and you can ask that question too. Where is my soul feel most comfortable expanding into? So basically, it's a library that is all about you in your human form and you in your expanded, fully non-physical soul form. So how do we access the Akashic Records? The easiest way to access the records for beginners is through meditation. There are many ways to access the Akashic Records, but if you are a beginner, through meditation, I highly recommend using meditation. And you don't need formal training to access your own records. Let me be very clear on that. If you are wanting to be a practitioner to access records for others, that's something that you're going to have to explore on your own. But we're talking about using this tool as a modality to understand yourself. You don't need formal training to meditate and to access your Akashic Records. However, formal training will greatly improve your ability to access and retrieve knowledge in a way that's going to better serve you. And Jacqueline, my friend Jacqueline, is a huge testament to that because she is going through formal training, and the insights that she comes back to is jaw dropping. So if this is a modality that piques your interest, definitely look into taking some kind of formal training so that you can access these records in a more efficient way. But this library is yours. And the reason why I spend so much time telling people that they don't have to have formal training is because there is a lot of information out there that says, don't go into the Akashic Records unless you have been trained. I'm like, it's my library. It's my story. Those books are about me. So it is yours. It's about you, and you can enter it whenever you desire. So just know that there are different ways and different modalities that are going to teach you how to go in and out of the records in a safe way, in an effective way. Absolutely look into those, but don't let the lack of formal training keep you from accessing this very valuable tool. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is I am going to lead us in a brief guided meditation so that we can access the Akashic Records. Um, are there any questions about what the Akashic Records are, or what we're doing, or why we're going into them before we go into the guided meditation? Don't see any. Okay, here's a very simple beginner-friendly question that I want you to take into the Akashic Records with you. If you have a more complicated, if you're more versed in visiting the Akashic Records, feel free to come up with your own question. However, I'm going to present one for you if you're a beginner and this is your first time. Hold on, let me find it. I'm going to stop this screen. What can I learn about my soul's path? What can I learn about my soul's path? It's a very basic, general question. Again, if you are more versed in your Akashic Records and you want to ask a more in-depth question, feel free to do that. All right, and let's prepare for this brief guided meditation. If you feel more comfortable turning your camera off, feel free to do so. I encourage you to take a couple of deep breaths, belly breathing into your belly, just to calm yourself down, ground yourself, settle yourself into this present moment. Now gently close your eyes. Continue breathing deeply, letting your body find its own natural rhythm. Focusing on your breath to bring all parts of yourself to this present moment. Making sure your physical body is completely present. Your thoughts are centered and present. And all of your energy, call it back to you. Allow it to be with you. Once you feel as if you are completely present, I want you to focus on taking a few more relaxing breaths. Release any tension you might be holding in your physical body. Relax your energetic space. Call in peace and calm to your energy. And relax your thoughts. Release any expectations. Just hold the intention that whatever happens and whatever I experience is right for me in this moment. Now I want you to picture yourself in a beautiful, serene, natural setting. And as you look down at your feet, you notice there's a beautiful path in front of you. You follow this path, becoming more and more relaxed with each step. More and more in tune with yourself with each step on this path. Breathing deeply and taking in the scenery. And as you look around, you notice that there is a clearing up ahead. You're in no rush to get there. You just continue walking at a slow, natural pace. Soon you arrive in the clearing. And in the middle of the clearing, you notice a very archaic looking, ancient building, beautiful architecture. What does that building look like? You approach the building and you notice the door. It's very ornate. Perhaps there are symbols on the door, perhaps just designs. It's so gorgeous that you just stare at that door for a little while. Somehow you have a feeling that you've been here before. You don't remember when, but it just feels familiar. Slowly the door opens for you. And standing within the doorway is a beautiful ethereal light being, gesturing for you to step inside. As you step inside this building, you realize that you are within a library. There's a long hallway before you, and both sides are filled with bookshelves from floor to ceiling. As you begin to walk down this hallway, you notice that there are also doorways and archways to different rooms. And in each room, there are more books. There are chairs and tables. There are books laying open as if someone has been reading them. You continue to walk down this main hallway. There's little alcoves, little reading nooks. As you look closer at the books, they're beautifully bound. Some of the titles you recognize, some of them you don't. Some of them don't even appear to be in your native tongue or language, just symbols on the spine. The light being is still walking ahead of you, showing you the way down this beautiful long hallway. The light being now says, these books are all about you. You have entered your own Akashic Records. When you ask a question, the book with the answer will magically appear before you. If you have a question, ask that question now. You notice a book floating off the bookshelf, coming to you. The pages are turning by themselves, and they gently rest on a page. You peer down and look at the page, and you begin to read what is written. I'll give you a moment to read what is on the page. Perhaps you see and you can read it. Perhaps you just have a knowing or a feeling. Spend some time with this book. If you have further questions or need help understanding this book, now is your chance to ask your guide, your light being, for insight or interpretation. For now, take the knowledge and the understanding that you have gained with you, knowing that you can come back at any time. You can read the same book, the same page, or you can ask a new question. The information will always expand, meaning you will gain deeper insights each time you visit your Akashic Records. All of these books are about you. Anything you want to know about yourself is available to you. And if you need help, your Akashic Record guide will always be there, waiting for you, guiding you, and helping you. Thank them for their help today. As you turn to leave, knowing that you can even bookmark the page if you want to come back later. Come back out of this beautiful building and back onto your path. Follow your path back out into the natural setting that you created. Follow it even further back to this present moment, back to where you are seated. Take a deep breath. Come back to your physical surroundings. And when you are ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes and rejoin the group. All right, I want to give you a couple of moments to write down any insights that you had, no matter how big or small. And I want to add a bit of a suggestion. If you think I made it up, I was just imagining that, I was only saying what I wanted to hear, write it down anyway. it is still valuable insight on your self-awareness, self-discovery journey. All right, that was a very brief and I might even mention truncated version of an Akashic Record meditation. There are many out there, and I've actually done a longer one earlier this month, so you should be able to find that recording again if you are part of the membership. Um, so I encourage you to visit your Akashic Records as many times as possible. Do your own meditation, figure out what works for you and what feels most comfortable. And it doesn't have to be a library. A library is most comfortable for me. It can be anything. I know when I first started going to the Akashic Records, I was floating among the stars. I was just floating among the stars, asking questions, and a guide would bring me the answer. And so it can be anything, whatever feels most comfortable to you. Are there any questions? Did anything come up that you would like insight or direction, or any questions about the Akashic Records in general? Did everyone feel as if they were able to access some piece of information about themselves? Maybe
A little bit.
a little bit.
The question I have is, if I'm fully alert and awake while we're sitting here, and in the meditation, I kept nodding off and blanking out. And I kept catching myself doing that and bringing myself back. And then poof, I was in a room and there's books and candle and one big book in front of me. And I was like, how did I get here?
Yes, I love that. The only thing I would say is the nodding off part. I think that was just you going deeper.
Okay.
I think that was just you going deep, and it might be because it's the end of the day, you know, physical, like let's take our physical body into account as well. But I think it was just you going deeper, and in a setting where you didn't have to be awake in order to participate in the rest of the event. If you go back into that meditation and you feel yourself falling asleep, I would say fall asleep. If you are someone who remembers their dreams, fall asleep with the dream journal next to you so that you can journal the minute you wake up. And if you're not someone who remembers their dream, you can still use dream journaling by just writing down how you feel the moment you wake up, even if you don't have recollections of what you remember. So yeah, I would say that that's just your body trying to go deeper in, because you need to go deeper in order to access those records.
Okay, thank you.
I sense you have volumes upon volumes of records, Neb. I don't know you. I'm just getting to know you, but I feel like this is me intuitively reading you. So do I have permission to do that?
Absolutely.
I feel as if your particular Akashic records are vast and also very detailed, because I feel like your soul is very adept at capturing all of the details, not just the overview of your incarnations. So I feel like there's a lot to dig into for you in your Akashic records. Does that resonate?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so that's probably why you needed to go deeper, or you needed to be in a more relaxed state in order to access all of that information.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. One of the words that randomly popped into my head was raisinets. That's awesome, because who knows where these bizarre things, that's awesome though, because now that you know that, just write it on a page. Maybe 3 years from now, you find out you had a past life and you worked in a raisinette factory. Who knows? But I do feel like those pops of insight, they have meaning, even if we don't know in the moment what it relates to. So yeah. Or maybe you're just hungry and that's your favorite snack. Who knows? All right, let me get back to the screen share. Okay, so that was our guided meditation to visit the Akashic Records. Now let's keep going with our next modality, which is the Tarot Destiny card. Y'all know I had to put something about Tarot in my presentation about figuring out who you are. So the Tarot Destiny card, talk a little bit about what it is. So your Tarot profile is a way to use the Tarot to give you a deeper insight into who you are as a person. It's almost as if you know how people look at your natal chart. It's using all of that and using tarot cards to extrapolate and find correlations and correspondences. So it does have to do with numerology. It does have to do with your birth chart, and it's taking all of that information and also adding the layer of tarot over it. And an easy way to say that is if you're, let me see, I'll go with Sagittarius. If I'm a Sagittarius, I can absolutely look through everything that Sagittarius means in astrology. I can also look at what does the Sagittarius mean in, what does my birth date mean in numerology, 11/28. I'm not going to give y'all the year. What does it mean in numerology? And then I can take all of that information and correlate it to tarot, knowing that the tarot card for Sagittarius is temperance. So there are correlations with our signs, our numerology, and tarot. For those of you that are beginner to tarot, all of those modalities kind of blend in together. So the book by Mary K. Greer, it's called Your Tarot Profile. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a facet of your tarot profile. The book is actually called Tarot for Yourself, a workbook for personal transformation, and it is by Mary K. Greer. Mary K. Greer. Again, that's Tarot for Yourself, a workbook for personal transformation by Mary K. Greer. And what we're going to look at is the first part of the book that talks about the tarot profile, and we're going to focus on the destiny card. This is a minor arcana card that gives you indications of your fundamental impulses, desires, and reactions. Now, even though it's called a destiny card, I see that when people say destiny, I believe that that might have a negative or a complicated stigmatism. Y'all know what I'm trying to say to it, where you think, oh no, my destiny, I'm predestined to do these things in life or to walk this path. And if I'm not doing them, I'm fucking up. No. Destiny card in this context, the way I see it, is it's just additional insight into, again, what you wanted to experience in this lifetime. So if you could talk to, which you can, if you could talk to that non-physical part of yourself that made all of these decisions and said, I want to experience poverty and I want to experience being brokenhearted and I want to experience, if you could talk to that aspect and be like, what the fuck? This is a way of having a conversation with that aspect and that aspect telling you, this is why I wanted to experience this. And this is what I wanted to experience in this lifetime. So destiny in the sense of what did your soul say it wanted to experience? Not necessarily destiny in the sense of this is what you have to do. So I hope we're clear on that. Don't take this card and this information as the gospel truth. It's just, this is your soul giving you a message as to, here's what I said we wanted to experience this lifetime. So what is your destiny card? For this, there is a whole chart in the book. I can't post the whole chart in the book because it's way too big. So what I'm going to ask you to do is you can put it in open chat or you can private message me if you don't want everybody to know what your birth date is. It's just your birth date, though, your month and day, not year. So nobody needs to know how old you are. So I need to have your date of birth, your month and your day. Did I say month and year? Your month and your day. And then I will tell you what your destiny card is. And then I will ask you to hold that information because then we will go back through and I'll give you an interpretation of what that card means for you. I think we can get through that fairly quickly because we have a smaller group here. So let me see, you're already putting it over there. July 14th. July 14th is the Four of Cups. Your destiny card is the Four of Cups. October 12th. October 12th is the Three of Swords. Three of Swords. April 21st is the Five of Pentacles. Interesting. April 21st is the Five of Pentacles. October 9th is the Three of Swords. October 9th is the Three of Swords. September 3rd is the Nine of Pentacles. September 3rd is the Nine of Pentacles. And then September 14th is the 10 of Pentacles. September 14th is the 10 of Pentacles. Did I get everybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to stop the screen share. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did get everybody. Okay. Okay, let's start with July 14th. July 14th, what did I tell you? 3 of Cups? Is that what I said? 4 of Cups. July 14th, the 4 of Cups. I'm giving you basic what's in my brain. I encourage you to look up the 4 of Cups for yourself and get a more in-depth meaning. But basically what's in my brain, the 4 of Cups is about stability. Cups is about emotions and your intuition. And so as far as a destiny card, you came here to try to find stability in your emotions and also stability with your intuition. And I feel like the stability with your intuition means you came here to trust your intuition this time around. You said, I want to experience trusting my intuition in a better way, being led by my intuition in a better way, and also being more stable in how I feel about my emotions. So that's your destiny card in relation to tarot. And what I will say about that, when you have those big themes, like I came into life to trust my intuition, does that mean that you're born into a lifetime where your intuition is just amazing and everything just comes to me intuitively and I just live a life of amazing, beautiful butterflies? And no, that means you come forward into a life where you are presented with experience after experience after experience that allows you to say, oh, maybe I should trust my intuition. So you might have challenging or experiences that push you into your intuition. So I want to say that about these destiny cards. Just because it says this is what you chose to experience, it doesn't mean you're going to experience it in this beautiful rainbows and butterflies way. It means you're going to experience it in a way that allows your soul to expand. And our soul often does not, sometimes it does, but often does not expand through, let's just make everything easy. Our soul expands through needing to overcome challenges. And that sounds almost right, because our life is supposed to be easy, but we're supposed to find the path to that ease, if that makes sense. Your life does not mean that you just created this shitstorm and you're supposed to struggle through your whole life. No, you're supposed to take all of these clues about who you are and how you said you wanted to navigate and use all of that to make your path easy. So I hope I didn't confuse you with that. Okay, so that was 4 of Cups. October 12th. What did I say October 12th was?
3 of Swords.
3 of Swords. Oh, you picked an interesting one. The 3 of Swords in tarot. Do you know tarot, don't you, Nev? Do you read tarot a little bit? Okay. The 3 of Swords in tarot is the one that it's one of the cards that if you are new to tarot, you see that card and you're like, nope. It's the heart with the 3 swords piercing through the heart. And that looks scary when you first notice it. That's not how I read it. I don't read it. And it's also one of the meanings is heartbreak. I read it as heartbreak, not period, heartbreak in order to break that heart open, in order to expand that heart center. So I feel like you came in order to expand your heart center, in order to open your heart up in new and exciting and different ways. 3 of Swords is also, it's swords energy. So it's air energy. So it's also about communicating. And it's also about thinking. So expressing that opened heart space through communication in an effective way, expressing that open heart space through how you think your thoughts and how you formulate and analyze things. Does that resonate? All right. Okay, who was next? April 21st. April 21st. And what was your card?
It's the 5 of Pentacles.
5 of Pentacles. Oh, you got a good one. 5 of Pentacles. In tarot, 5 of Pentacles. Pentacles is your earth, and Pentacles is also how you manifest things. And you came forth and said, I want to have a little bit instability in my manifestations. I want to experience. So when I see those things in someone's life path, to me, it is all about expansion of the soul. And the way I view it, because I have chosen some of those more difficult, challenging aspects for myself as well. I see it as I must have had several past lives where this was an easy thing for me. And where I looked out and I saw other people struggling and I never was. And after several lifetimes of looking out and seeing other people struggle and I wasn't, I said to myself from non-physical, I wonder what that feels like. Just out of curiosity, I wonder what it would feel like to live a life where that was a struggle. And I wonder how those people still thrived and still found ways to find joy and happiness, even though this thing was a struggle for it. I wonder, it's curiosity from non-physical. When we come into human form, it's like, what? But it's curiosity from non-physical. So I see that you did choose a more challenging life path, but it's because you were so curious about what that would feel like. So the Five of Pentacles in Tarot is the life, it would be the Tarot card itself is walking here and there's manifestations, but I'm not seeing them. It's the idea of the person outside, or not the idea, it's visualized by the person outside of the building. They're in cold, they're in destitute, they're not in a good space in their life, but the church is right there, but they're not seeing the church. They're not seeing their spiritual connection. But does that mean that that has to be your entire life path? Obviously not, because you're in a spiritual group learning about this. No, it means that that was the beginning. And you said, I wonder what it feels like to know, to feel that way and to still thrive and still excel. So you came forth and you chose the top level, top player, extreme level video game scenario is I'm going to feel these things and I'm still going to thrive and I'm still going to succeed at life. So that was your path, is what does it feel like to thrive in a situation where I do have struggles with manifesting things? Is that, and there are, let me tell you, there are so many other ways because we came here to experience joy, period. All of these other things are aspects on how we decided we were going to experience joy. And from non-physical, we don't see good and bad. We don't see challenging and non-challenging. We say, I wonder what it would feel like to not be able to manifest clearly, because I had a couple of lifetimes where I saw other people doing that. And I just wonder what that would be like. It's not a good or a bad thing. And then you come forth and you experience it. And that's not everything that you are. You also have all of those things in your sun sign and your rising sign and your north nodes and south nodes saying, this is how you are best going to navigate having this complicated thing. I think of it as an easier way to put it, if I put it in human terms, which would probably make more sense to you because you do have pentacles, earth energy. If I put it in human terms from non-physical, if you said, I want to figure out what it feels like to go forth and be born without a limb, without an arm, without a foot. And so you're born and you have a physical deformity and you don't have your left arm, let's say, for instance. But you have so many, maybe you were gifted with the ability to be the fastest track star because now that you're missing an arm, you're more aerodynamic and you're able to like break all the records. So it's not from non-physical, it's not a detriment. It's I wonder what it would feel like. And then you also give yourself all of these other things so that your life can still be joyful. Now, as humans, we often focus on the one thing that is most challenging and we don't see our other gifts. So your challenge is, I decided to have this challenge, but I'm also in a place on my spiritual path where I'm going to look and see what other gifts that I set up for myself to compensate for this thing. So that's yours. All right, October 9th. What did I say about October 9th?
Three of Swords.
October 9th is Three of Swords too? Did I give two Three of Swords? Oh yeah, October 9th and October 12th. Is that right? Oh, we got two Three of Swords. I don't even remember saying Three of Swords twice. All right, Three of Swords for October 9th. Again, it's about opening that heart space. I'm listening intuitively to see if there's anything else coming through. For you, as your destiny card, opening your heart space, yours is more about the communicative side of it. You wanted to say, what would it feel like to authentically be vulnerable in how I express myself? This is totally an intuitive reading. Your Three of Hearts is about opening that heart space so big that it feels vulnerable, it feels raw, but it also allows you to express yourself in authentic ways that other people are not able to access because they don't have that open hearts. They don't have that expansive open heart. We all have open heart spaces, but they don't have that. They didn't come specifically to experience an expansive open heart space and to use that expansive open heart space through swords communication in order to communicate themselves with the world, in order to communicate, this is who I truly am. So I feel like that's what your Three of Swords means for you in that situation. All right, and then we have September 9th. Tell me what that card is. September
3rd or September?
I'm sorry, September 3rd. September 3rd, you're up next.
9 of Pentacles.
9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles, that's a good one. And you already got it pulled out. And and we just went over that in the Advanced Tarot Mastery. So you already know what that card means. That's a good one. You said, this time I want to go forth. Now I want to experience wealth and abundance. And I want to know what that feels like. And I want to be in a position where I can use that to my advantage to express myself in this world. So 9 of Pentacles, wealth and abundance. Is there anything else? Earth, you're very good with manifesting for yourself. And if you aren't, that is what you intended from non-physical. So again, if I'm saying something and you're like, that is not me, understand that this is spirit saying this is what we intended to experience though. So how can you get up and to speed with it? How can you align with it? So you intended to experience easier manifestations, flow, having that abundance in your life. But more specifically, how do you use this abundance to benefit yourself first and foremost, and others and the world? So that 9 of Pentacles, I'm going to say that you probably had a bunch of lifetimes where you weren't 9 of Pentacles, where maybe you were 3 of Swords, or maybe you were 5 of Pentacles. And you said, I wonder what it's like to live a life where I can manifest really easily. And so this is your path this time. But it's not all about just being able to manifest easily. It's about, what does this mean for me as a person, and how do I use this to expand my soul's journey? Are there things that I need to overcome in order for me to really encapsulate and integrate that 9 of Swords energy? Probably. So that's your destiny card, 9 of Pentacles. And then I do remember the next one because it's 10 of Pentacles, correct? September 14th, 10 of Pentacles. All right, awesome. 10 of Pentacles is that completion, that end of cycle, but that I'm going to sit back and really look at all of the things I have manifested in this world. And I'm really going to take stock of what kind of legacy am I leaving? Am I able to set up generational wealth? Am I able to do things in such a way that the next time my soul incarnates, because it feels kind of like an end of cycle, I'm able to set up things so much in this lifetime that the next time my soul incarnates, it can take some of this wealth, and I'm putting wealth in quotes because we're not talking about material wealth, because we know we can't take material wealth to the afterlife, but I'm able to take some of this wealth that I've generated through energetic wealth, through wisdom, through knowledge, into my next lifetime in some kind of way. I feel like that's kind of what you're trying to do in this lifetime, because it is that 10. It is showing that you've already mastered this. And so your next trip around, or your next incarnation, if you choose to incarnate again, is going to be, how can I draw from this past life where I did master this skill and tap back into this mastery? And going back to the Akashic Records, we all have past lives where we have absolutely mastered the things that we are trying to work through and find mastery in this lifetime. So your Akashic Records, again, is another tool of, hey, show me the last lifetime where I did have a relationship that worked. How did I do that? And use that knowledge in this lifetime So your path, this one is you are aspiring to or trying to reach that level of mastery within your within your manifestations. That 10 of Pentacles is about manifesting, mastery, and completion of cycle. So that's what I have for you. Let's see. 4 of Cups over in the comments. Growing pains. And did I get through everybody? Yes. September 14th was the last time. 4 of Cups says, looking at the past will not show you your future. Opportunities are everywhere if you shift your gaze to see them. Absolutely. And then also the elemental connection lines up astrologically. I'm interested to see the chart. I think I'll add this book to my list. Absolutely add this book to your list. It's a great book. Let me show y'all how thick the book is and where we are in the book. This is the book. And this is where we are, just the very beginning of figuring it out. And it is a workbook. There's all kind of spaces for you to write within the workbook and figure out your all kind of things. This one I have not done yet, but this one is a lifetime year chart where you can chart your entire life. I mean, it's very in depth. It's got tarot spreads and all kind of ways to really get to know yourself. It's also got astrology ties in. It talks about the houses later on in the book, first house, second house, your chart, and all of that. So it is a really good book if you are interested in using tarot to guide your life's journey. All right, let's see, where are we at on time? We're getting kind of close. We might go the whole 2 hours. All right, let's get back. So that was your destiny card. And now last, we're going to talk about Authentically You, how to be more authentic and why it's important. There are so many benefits to being authentic. I think we all know that because we're all striving to figure out who we are and be more authentic. One of the top reasons is being able to trust yourself and your motives. Trusting that the way I am and the things I want to do and why I want to do them are all good. It's all part of my path. Being able to trust that and know that that's coming from your core and your heart space is such a good feeling. And the way we get there to that trust is being as authentic as we can be. Authenticity as part of self-awareness means that you are living in alignment with who you truly are. So that's why I put it last, because we're going to go look at all of the different modalities of how to figure out who we truly are. And then authenticity means, am I living in alignment with all of these things that I've figured out or that I'm discovering about myself? So for this portion, we're just going to do some guided journaling, and then we're going to do an interactive group activity. So the guided journaling, let's do that first. Make sure you have paper and pencil. And I'm just going to ask you a couple of different questions. The first question is, what does being authentic mean to you? Give you just a few moments there. All right, and the next one, you're going to have to give a little bit of thought to. Imagine your ideal future self. Your ideal future self. Maybe incorporate some of the things you learned about yourself today. And what qualities does this person possess, and how can you embody them now? All right. The next one is important and it's more about aligning with who you truly are. How do I define sex? How do I define success and happiness for myself? And are these definitions aligned with my authentic desires? And this is a good one, and I'll give a little backstory where y'all start journaling on it. How I define success for myself has varied greatly. And the more I get to know myself, the more I understand whether or not I'm in alignment with it or not. In the past, when I was younger, like many, I defined success of having a whole bunch of money in the bank. And my core self, who I am at my core, is not about money and possessions. My core self, who I am at my core, if y'all remember, is when we went through astrology, is about being a teacher. It's about being an explorer. None of that says anything about having a whole bunch of money in the bank. So as I redefined my version of success, I find that I'm more in alignment. My version of success now has less to do with money and more to do with how I impact the world and how I show up in my everyday life. I am successful when I am being my true self. I am successful when I am helping others and teaching others. So redefining that success now, it is more in alignment with who I authentically am. So define how you, and even if it's not in alignment, go ahead and write it down because then that lets you know where you are as far as aligning with yourself. So what's your version of success and happiness? All right. And the last question is kind of a fun one. Reflect on the advice that you would give to your younger self. Pick your, let's say somewhere between teenage and 20 years old, not younger, but teenage and 20 years old, when you're just starting to explore yourself and explore life and find a sense of independence. What advice would you give to that version of yourself? That's part one of the question. I'm gonna let you journal about that for just a minute, and then we'll see how that ties in with authenticity. All right, keep writing if you need to. I'm going to use myself as an example and explain how this has to do, what this has to do with being authentic. My former self, my younger self, was extremely ridden with anxiety. So much so that they weren't making diagnosis back then called social anxiety, but if they were, I would be diagnosed with probably one of the higher forms of social anxiety. I can't even imagine doing what I do now based upon who I was back then. So if I was to give advice to that former version of myself, it would be, it's not that deep. The things that you're worried about, you don't need to worry about. The things that you think other people are thinking about you and noticing about you, they're not, because they've got their own things going on. They don't care about you as much as you think they care about you, not in a bad way, but just in a way of nobody notices that this is how socially anxiety I was. Nobody notices that your feet are not pointed exactly parallel to each other. I used to look down at my feet and make sure that when I walked, my feet were parallel. They weren't turned in, they weren't turned out. Now as an adult, I know that that's virtually impossible. Everybody has their own way of walking. That's how CSI works. But I used to watch my feet as I walked down the hallway at school to make sure that nobody was looking at my feet. I was the only idiot looking at my feet and worried about if the steps were perpendicular and parallel to each other. So the things that I worried about, I would tell my younger self, there's so much more to life than to worry about those things. There's so many things, and you don't need to worry about them. You don't need to have this anxiety. And it's not, when you're 50 years old, it's not going to matter how you walk down a highway in high school, hallway in high school. So that's what I would tell myself. But here's the part where it comes into authenticity. How did I figure out that? My life path took me to a place to where I'm 50. Now I know those things were not important. Now I know if I was to give advice to some young kid who has social anxiety, I have all of the wisdom and the knowledge and the life experiences to impart to this person to show them why those things were unimportant, or to show them why when you do have anxiety, this is what you do about it, and this is how you alleviate it. And these are some things you can say to yourself. So when you think about where you are today and how you gained that knowledge, that's the piece that shows you, oh, I am being authentic. Maybe whatever I was doing back then, I hadn't quite discovered who I was, but who I am right now in this moment, oh my God, I've got so much wisdom. Where did that wisdom come from? Oh, it came from me lining up with who I truly am. So give a little bit of reflection to where you found that wisdom that you are trying to give your younger self. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. We do these journaling exercises all the time. Oh, yeah, I would tell my younger self this and this and this. Great. And then we move on with our life. But wait a minute. Where did you learn that information that you're willing to tell your younger self? Oh, yeah. Huh. I guess maybe I have learned a thing or three learning that walking down this path. So that's where I want you to give yourself credit for, yes, continually lining up with what you said you wanted to experience this time around. So much so that now you are in a position to impart that knowledge, yes, to your younger self, but also to the world as a whole. The things that you have learned on your path are so impactful. Even if you're still struggling, you still have enough wisdom that you can help someone like your younger self out of those struggles and out of those predicaments and out of those situations. And just as a bonus point, yes, you can literally give your younger self that advice. There are so many modalities where you can do that. That's not what we're talking about today, but I just want to let you know, if that's a curiosity for you, if you're like, oh, well, this is just imagination. No, you can literally impart those things to your younger self, which will help your current self and your future self. So that's what I wanted to say about authenticity as far as journaling. And we do still have time left for our interactive game play. That's what I'm going to call it. This is fun. This is interactive. It is a bit of a game, and I'm going to let you know where this game came from. It comes from Authentic Relating. And for those of you who are not familiar with Authentic Relating, I'm going to give you a very basic understanding of it. I have not studied it per se. I have a very good friend who has studied it and who does host Authentic Relating game nights and things like that. And so my knowledge comes from their deep, in-depth knowledge. Authentic Relating developed from a prison setting where they wanted to teach the prisoners how to have non-combative interactions and how to relate to one another in non-combative ways, nonviolent ways. And then from that, authentic relating developed as a way to authentically relate to one another in an open and honest and vulnerable state. So that's what authentic relating is all about. It's how do I effectively communicate who I really am to another individual or to the world as a whole. So authentic relating is a very, very valuable tool, modality for figuring out who you are at your core. And here we're going to wrap up this event with what I consider a very fun, interactive game. So I hope you're all ready to participate. And the game is called Google, or Google Me, Google this, Google that. Maybe you've played it before. I think I'm noticing some people like, oh yeah, I know what that game is. Here's how the game works. And the reason why it's related to authenticity is because it asks you to really dig into knowledge about yourself and to express it openly to whoever is asking. So Google is, you are going to act as if you are Google, and someone else is going to pose questions to you. And in those questions, just like you are Google, they can cut you off mid-sentence if they want to, if that's enough information about that topic. They can drill down just as if what you said was a hyperlink and they want to know more about that and ask you to expand on that. And then they can totally change the topic to something else if they want to know something else about you. But what that does for the person who is answering, for the person who is Google, is it gets you in touch with some things that maybe you hadn't thought about yourself, or it gets you expressing experiences or situations that maybe you haven't thought about in a while. It can be very simple or it can get deeper. That is entirely dependent upon the person that is asking the questions. Because this is authentic relating, you do hold, what is the word? I didn't want to say personal responsibility. That's not the word I'm looking for. You have the right to say, I don't want to answer that question. So no results found is a valid response. You can just say no results found, and that just means I don't feel comfortable answering that question in this session or in this particular situation. Okay, so just to give you a sample, if Jacqueline said, Valerie, tell me about your pets, I would go, well, my first pet ever was a cat named Baby, and blah, 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 blah. And Jacqueline would say, stop, I want to know why you named it Baby. And then I would explain why I named it Baby, blah, 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 blah. And Jacqueline could say, stop, I want to know, have you ever had babies of your own? So you see how it can work. Or Jacqueline might be like, okay, that's enough. I don't want to know about your cats anymore. Let's talk about something else. So that's how it works. So I'm going to, for the sake of time, we're going to try to go round robin, and we're going to try to give everybody a chance to do this. I think I'm going to keep it to about a minute, and y'all, a minute is long enough. You will be like, man, that minute was long. So I'm going to say, Jacqueline, you get to ask the questions first, and you get to pick who you want to be the Google. Wait. Nope, I got to do that in another way because I have to make sure everybody gets the opportunity to be Google. Jacqueline, you get to be Google first. And who wants to ask Jacqueline a question? Or questions? Jesse, I'm coming at you. You're smiling the biggest. Jesse, you get to ask the questions.
What do you want to know? Sorry.
I'll set a timer. So we're going to go with a minute worth of questions, and I'll just politely stop you all when we reach that minute. So give me just a second here to get the timer set. All right, Jesse, go.
Okay, Jacqueline, when did you know, or when were you first interested in anything that had to do with astrology, tarot, or anything like that?
I think I was always interested in tarot, but I was scared of it, so I didn't have anything to do with it because I was kind of brought up in a Christian home. So, or not a Christian home, but the Christian upbringing, I should say. So my first time with anything was probably about 20 years ago. I bought a tarot deck. Woo! And I asked it a bunch of questions. And when I asked a couple questions,
Stop. What was your first question?
I think it was, am I going to be successful in my career? And
What career did you want?
well, I was a high school music teacher. I was a high school teacher.
That's a
Oh,
minute.
cool. Oh, that went by fast.
That was a minute?
Yeah,
That went by really
it
fast.
does. Maybe I'll do 2 minutes. Go for another minute, Jesse. We'll do 2 minutes.
Okay.
You said
Oh,
you were a music teacher?
yeah, I was a high school music and drama teacher.
Okay.
And
What kind of
music?
go ahead. Yes.
What kind of music? Well, I did choir and I did band. So I did jazz band, I did vocal jazz, I had a little rock band, I had everything, a little bit of everything.
Did you play instruments?
Yes, I play piano, I play guitar, I play trumpet, I play flute. Actually, I was in music education, so I can play every instrument. Can I play them all well? Well, unless I kept up the practice, which I didn't. I only kept up about 4 instruments.
Which one was your favorite instrument?
Actually, I'm a singer, so I'd say my voice.
Oh, are you soprano or alto or?
I was coloratura, which is the highest soprano, and now I think I sing kind of alto soprano.
Awesome.
Was that 2 minutes?
Yep, that was 2 minutes.
Wow.
Isn't that fun though? You get to expose yourself a little bit and you get to learn about other people too. Awesome. Thank you, Jacqueline and Jesse. Okay, Jesse, you're the next Google.
Oh no.
Who wants to ask Jesse questions? Do we have volunteers or do I pick someone? Nev?
I'll ask Jesse.
I felt that coming, you know. Okay. Jesse, let's start with pets. Did you have any childhood pets?
My very first pet was Poopsie the cat.
Poopsie. Why did you name it Poopsie?
My mother named it Poopsie because it would poop everywhere, in the car, in the house, everywhere. And she just named it Poopsie.
And how long did you have the cat for?
I don't remember. It was, I was really, really little. I just remember the last time I seen it, it was in the car and getting in trouble for pooping in the car.
What color was the car?
Orange.
What was
Like
the
a
car?
rusty orange.
Was it a sedan or?
Oh, I have no idea. It was an old car. It was a two-door. I remember it being a two-door because we had to fold the seats forward.
What's your favorite memory of being in that car?
Having the cat go on rides with us.
And how often was that?
Not very often because it pooped too much.
What is the one destination that you could remember that car taking you to that you absolutely love?
Grandma's house.
Grandma's house. What did you do at Grandma's house?
Played the piano, ate cookies, and watched Price is Right.
Who taught you how to play piano?
My grandma.
Oh, that's nice. And what's your favorite cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Do you bake?
Not very well.
Is there a baker at home?
No.
No? Okay. I'm thinking now of crystals. I don't know why the chocolate chips are connecting me to crystals.
No, you're right. You're good. I have lots of crystals.
What's your favorite crystal?
Amethyst.
Amethyst. And when did you start collecting crystals?
And that'll be your last question.
4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, cool. Good.
That's
All
fun. I
right.
like this.
Yeah, it is fun and it makes you think about things that you haven't thought about in a while. And as you're thinking about those memories, think about how they shaped who you are. Okay, Nev, your Google next. And Julie, I'm going to go with you for asking the questions. Go ahead, Julia. You get to ask questions.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. And I'm asking questions to Nev. Okay. What place have you been to that has these wonderful memories for you?
Ashkare, Mexico. It was the first experience to go with my whole entire family, and it was a trip that I won off of the radio station.
And what did you do there?
We went to almost all of the theme parks that they had attached to the resort. I think the best one was an aquatic one, and I had those little fish eating away at the dead skin at my feet, and it tickled. But it was awesome. It was an awesome experience, and to see the I think they had a whale shark there, and the manatee in real life. That was the coolest trip.
And how many people in your family went with you?
Me, my partner, and my children. 2 children. So the 4 of us. They absolutely loved the experience. Our hotel room was right out to the pool. It was the best 5-star experience that we've ever had because we've never experienced a 5-star before.
And what did you guys learn about yourselves on that trip?
We learned how much of a water baby my daughter really is. She loves the sand. She's the ideal Moana. My son, he likes to talk a lot to strangers as well. So we learned that about him. But I also learned that uh, zip lining experience it instilled fear in him because he no longer wants to go on anything high. Their theme park had a zip line that just kept going higher and higher with every descent that they went. They had to climb higher to get to a higher spot. So the highest really scared the heck out of him, but he still enjoyed it.
All right. That's 2 minutes. That's poor thing. That's awesome. All right. That makes Julia our next Google. And let's see who wants to ask her questions. Kitty, are you available? I know you're off camera. Are you available to play?
I am.
Okay. You get to ask Julia questions.
Okay. Oh dear. Uh, all right. What do you consider your start down the road of spirituality?
I think as a kid, I think I've dabbled in so many things from very, very early on. I found a box of my rock collection from when I was a kid in Arizona, and I brought it back, and it was just filled with all these crystals. And I remember being able to go into the stores with like all the huge vat of rocks, and I was able to choose like one crystal to keep. And it's very interesting now that I've been looking into all the meanings of crystals and knowing all these different crystals that I hand selected, and I'm able to kind of figure out why I needed those particular crystals. And so as a very little kid, I think I was into crystals. And then as a teenager, was into astrology, dabbled into that some. But then it just kind of like things just kind of got pushed away for me. Like I kind of didn't forget about it, but it just wasn't a big part of my life. And I'm now in a place right now where all coming back, and I'm like, oh, I used to do this, so I remember doing this, and just learning more and more about it. But I think I was pretty young that all this kind of stuff. As a fifth grader, we had to do a report on. We had to find somebody that we wanted to interview and learn about their career, their profession. And I chose, and looking back, I can't believe my teacher let me do this, but I wanted to learn about ESP. And so I had to find somebody to interview to talk to them about ESP. You know, most people like did doctors and nurses and dentists and all these things. And I really wanted to know about ESP. So, and that was when I was in fifth grade. So I wrote a report on ESP. I need to find it. So.
All right. What are some themes that you feel might have had you walk away from themes that have been throughout your life, like crystals and such, what would be something that uh, redirected you?
I think probably for some of it, just people and them not, me feeling like they didn't agree with it or think, buy into it, or that kind of piece maybe, and just finding people that I was around that weren't into that kind of stuff or didn't believe in that kind of stuff, or I don't know, that's my guess.
All right. I think I forgot to set the timer, but I think we're probably at 2 minutes there. Thank you. Okay.
So
Yeah.
to ask Nicole questions.
Now I'm making sure I set the timer this time. No, I think it's Kitty. So Kitty would be the Google.
Oh, then I
I'm
don't.
going to ask. Yep. So Kitty would be the Google.
Okay.
And who
Kitty's
wants to ask
Google,
Kitty
and
questions? We'll
Nicole
do
would
that.
have to ask her the questions
What's that? Yeah.
because she hasn't gone yet.
Well, I'll go too. So that we got two people to go.
Mhm.
So who wants to ask Kitty?
I can
Nicole's
ask
not
Kitty.
raising her hand now. So Jacqueline's going to ask Kitty questions. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Kitty, how many children do you have?
I have two,
Boy and a girl?
both girls, a
Both
middle
girls.
schooler and an elementary schooler.
Oh, very, very nice. What are their names?
April in the background is my spring baby. She was not born in April. And Juniper upstairs is my winter baby.
Wow, that's so nice. And the names are cute too. That's so cute. Okay. When did you
I
start your
had
spiritual
input
path?
on their, I'm sorry?
I was going to say, when did you start your spiritual, this spiritual, life?
Personal exploration. I was
Yes.
allowed to, when my parents split, if you will, late elementary school, I was allowed to explore on my own because I ended up living with the parent that was not, and the parent that the church chose, if you will, that was not very big in the church.
Mhm.
So he was pretty much saying, yeah, do whatever at that point. So, and the the uh the elders were very much the good old boy network, and so they would tend to lean towards the male side of things when my parents' marriage sort of went awry, but I wasn't too happy there anyway. So, uh,
Ah,
yeah. So as far as tarot and trying every single church group that is out there and being told by everyone via intervention that I'm going to hell for exploring witchcraft and such as a what is that? 10, 12-year-old, somewhere in that range.
wow. So have you had any setbacks or have you just started there and just kept going?
I would say it has been exploring various modalities, trying a little of this, trying a little of that, maybe coming back to this, uh, staying with that. Yeah, a little bit of all over the place, but mostly, uh, given all that Scorpio nature in my chart there, it seems to be a little bit more in the background, not necessarily out in the open. Lots of closets over here.
All right. That's it time. Great answers. Love it. I love it. Self-exploration. All right, Nicole, it's you and me. You're gonna go first. You'll be Google. No, let's do it the other way around. That'll give all the other participants a chance to volunteer to ask you a question. So I'll be Google, you'll ask me questions, and then we'll go to you and we'll have a volunteer ask you questions. How's that sound? Good? Think we're freezing. Oh no. Are you there, Nicole?
She just needs to take off.
Yeah,
Oh,
camera. Yeah,
Does
turn.
Kitty get to ask questions?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah, you might need to keep your camera off so that the reception comes through.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so
Hang on.
Valerie.
Let me start the timer because I keep forgetting to do that. Hold on. Okay, go.
So when did you decide to become a tarot teacher?
A tarot teacher? I would say that was
Teacher of tarot.
probably 2021. So I was a reader first, and then I decided to teach others tarot in 2021.
And how did you first? Oh my goodness, my questions are getting all confused now in my own brain. I'm very curious with this whole Google thing. How did you first feel because you had that anxiety as a younger person, how did you first feel in teaching tarot?
I think most of the anxiety that I had as a younger person worked itself out, or more accurately, I felt that I found my natural place being a teacher. So I didn't have all of that anxiety. It's kind of like when I'm teaching, I don't feel as anxious. So that's kind of how that worked out for me. Although I still have anxiety when I'm teaching, but I think it's at a manageable level.
Oh, that's excellent. How did your family feel about you becoming a tarot teacher?
You know that song, "We Don't Talk About Bruno, We Don't Talk About My Family." My family, I don't know how they feel about me becoming a tarot teacher because I've never had that conversation with them, and there's a lot of reasons. Because they're in a religion that absolutely would be completely against it. So we just don't talk about it. I know that at this point they do know I'm a tarot teacher. Now my oldest daughter is not in that religion, so she's curious about it, but she's never like directly asked me about it. And I think that's just because we have the mother-daughter dynamic, and who wants a tarot reading from their mom? So.
And because you have psychic abilities, do you ever feel when you're around your grandchildren or anything like that, do you ever, get information coming in?
Absolutely. And this will be the last question because the timer went off. Absolutely. And now my grandkids, that's a whole nother story because my grandkids know I'm a psychic and they'll come up to me all the time. Well, you said you're a psychic, with their little smart selves. So absolutely. I do absolutely use that. It helps because I always know when they're lying and which one is lying. So yeah, I do use that, but I also use it in ways for healing them.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's a blessing.
Yeah, for sure.
They are very fortunate to have you. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
Sure. All right, Nicole, you are up last. And who wants to ask questions of Google Nicole? Yeah.
I think Kitty is the one that asks Nicole questions, no?
Kitty?
No,
Kitty asked.
Kitty asked Julia.
Yeah. So it's whoever wants to volunteer. I think everybody's had a chance. Maybe. Oh, I haven't had a chance to ask questions.
You didn't, and neither did Kitty. You guys answered.
I did. I asked Julia.
Kitty did.
Oh, did you? Okay, I lost track.
Yeah,
Never
she was
mind.
the next
My family's been
Google,
coming
and
in
then I
now.
asked questions, and then I was a Google. Yep.
All right. So I guess it's me and you, Nicole. Nicole, let me get this timer started. Nicole, when did your spiritual path start?
My spiritual path started when I was very young. I think I was on much like Julia, I was very much a rock and crystal picker upper. I just really collected a lot of things. But then my favorite crystal, I believe, is my smoky quartz.
Oh,
my smoky, yeah.
What the properties of smoky quartz are and why you love it?
Oh my goodness, the properties of it. Well, just the grounding, clearing, and just really the grounding and the clearing and the energy it gives me. It's it seems to really hold me in a good place. And I connect it with many other crystals. Like in my pouch currently, there are, I mean, I can open it up and pull them out, but there's citrine. Actually, in this one, there's my clear quartz is in there today. And citrine and Amazonite.
I want to go back to smoky quartz and grounding and clearing. What's your favorite way to clear your energy?
Usually using my selenite. And I use my selenite with all of my crystals every night. They go on the selenite to cleanse and clear and recharge them. And I use my selenite wand to clear myself in the mornings. And especially like before we do this, I take my selenite and I run it around the phone. My phone is what I use. So I run it around to remove any negative energies and to just clear everything out of the way so that anything that we're discussing can come through to all of us.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. That makes me want to pull out my smoky quartz. I haven't used smoky quartz in a while. Thank you, Nicole. All right. Well, that ends our little round robin of being Google, and hopefully it gave you of course, it gave you some insights into everybody else and what they shared, but hopefully digging in and answering those questions also gave you insights into who you are and how you like to express yourself and what you feel comfortable expressing and what might felt kind of touchy and all of the things. So I love playing this game. There's so many other authentic relating games that I really love to play. If you are familiar with Tim Behrens, he is a practitioner here locally in Kansas City, but he's got I think he still has his own website. Anyway, that is the person that taught me about authentic relating. He's very versed in it. So if there's anything that you want to know about authentic relating, I would recommend that you maybe reach out to Tim Behrens. I'm going to say, I don't think he's linked on my website. He is linked on the Awkwardly Zen website, and everyone here in this group, yes, knows about Awkwardly Zen. So you'll have to go to the Awkwardly Zen. I need to put some links of practitioners on my website, but you'll need to go to the Awkwardly Zen website to find Tim Behrens. He's listed as a partner there. So that's what I have for you as far as discovering who you are at your core. I hope you got some valuable nuggets and insights into yourself. We've about 1 minute left. I just want to ask real quick, is there anything that you feel like you have a burning question that maybe I didn't cover that you want to throw out there before we close up? No? Yay, that means I did a good job. Everyone's feeling really good about it. All right, thank you all so much. I hope I gave you a little bit of scratching the surface, and maybe there's some things that you want to dig into a lot deeper. I'm not sure if everyone saw the note over there, but if you are subscribed to, it's now called Everand. It used to be called Scribed. It's an online subscription. It's like $10 a month where you have access to all of ebooks and audiobooks. The book that I told you about, Tarot for Yourself, is one of the books that's on there. The newer version is on there. So you can find that, or you can buy the book, whatever works for you. All right. Thank you all so much. This has been wonderful. This has been fun. And I hope to see you back at next month's Deep Dive.